Let's look at Chapter 3, Lesson 10 Extension, where we have give me an estimate. We need to estimate the product or the quotient. So remember, product means that it's the answer to multiplying, and quotient means the answer to division. I also wrote on my paper that when I'm estimating, I know to use this information. 5 or more, you go up 1. 4 or less, you stay the same. So using that information, I'm going to be estimating numbers 1 through 10. So I want you to look at number 1. Remember, you're going to be looking at these numbers right here. The 1 is going to be doing the work. The one that's in the hundreds is going to be the boss. The boss needs to decide, am I 5 or more or 4 or less? By thinking, the boss for this one says, I am 4 or less. So I'm going to tell the first one in the thousands place to stay the same. So the 1 stays the same, but everything after it's going to be zeros. So I need to think, how many times does 3 go into 10? 3 goes into 10 3 times. So I know that my answer is going to be 300 because the x's represent zeros. Let's move on to number 2. The 4 is the worker, the 9 is the boss. The 9 needs to decide, do I stay the same or do I go up 1? In this case, the 9 is 5 or more, so it tells the 4 to go up 1. So it changes to a 5. Everything to the right changes to zeros. So if you look, 7 times 0 is 0, 7 times 0 is 0, 7 times 5 is 35. So your answer is 3,500. Let's move on to number 3. I need to think about the thousands place, where I have the first 2, and the hundreds place, who is the boss. The hundreds place is going to tell the thousands place whether to stay the same or go up 1. And since the hundreds place has a 2 in it, that's less than 4. So it's telling the thousands place, which is a 2, to stay the same. Everything to the right changes to zeros. So you know that you can put your zeros down because 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 0 is 0. And then your last number is 2 times 2, which is 4. So your answer is 4,000. Let's do the same thing over here for number 4. We need to think about the 6 and the 4. Remember, the 6 is the worker. It has to do all the heavy lifting, so much work. And the 4 is the boss. It gets to boss the 6 around. So the 4 is 4 or less, so it's telling the boss that it needs to stay the same. So the 6 stays the same, but everything to the right of it changes to zeros. 2 goes into 6 3 times. 3 times 2 is 6, and I can subtract and get zeros. Now since we changed it, we are going to use 2 goes into 0 times. So your answer is going to be 3,000. Let's move on to number 5, where we're multiplying again. We need to first change it and then multiply. So remember, let's look at the 8 and the 9. The 8's the worker, the 9's the boss. So the 9 is telling the 8, since it's 5 or more, it needs to go up 1. So we need to make the 8 a 9, and everything to the right changes to zeros. So 5 times 0 is 0, 5 times 0 is 0, and 5 times 9 is going to be 45. Let's look at number 6, where we're dividing. Let's look at the 8 and the 2. Remember, the 2 is the boss, the 8 is the worker. 2 tells the 8 to stay the same because it is less than 4. So the 8 stays the same and everything to the right changes to zeros. 4 goes into 8 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8. You can subtract and you get 0. Let's look at number 7. Remember, we have a 6 and then a 0. The 0 is the boss, the 6 is the worker. The 0, since it's less than 4, tells the 6 to stay the same. Everything to the right goes to zeros. 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 0 is 0, and 2 times 6 is 12. Let's move on to number 8 where we're dividing. We have a 1 in the hundreds place and a 1 in the thousands place. The 1 in the hundreds place is the boss, and the 1 in the thousands place is the worker. So the 1 in the hundreds place tells the 1 in the thousands place that it needs to stay the same because it's less than 4. Everything to the right then changes to zeros. 5 goes into 1 0 times, so you need to look at the 10. 5 goes into 10 2 times, and the rest are zeros. I want you to use the strategies that I showed you in 1 through 8 in order to figure out numbers 9 and 10. Remember to use 5 or more, you go up 1. 4 or less, you stay the same.